The woman challenged the god of gamblers to a dice game. The rules were simple: each player rolls once, and whoever gets the lowest number wins. The woman went first, picking up the dice cup and quickly shaking the dice from the table into it. Using his keen hearing, the god of gamblers listened carefully to determine the number of dots inside the cup. As the woman set the cup down on the table, the god of gamblers smiled and started clapping. When the woman lifted the cup, all 6 dice were stacked on top of each other, each showing 1 dot. Everyone thought it would be a tie. However, the god of gamblers asked for a heavier dice cup, then quickly loaded the dice inside. He shook it casually a few times before slamming it down on the table. When he lifted the cup, one of the dice had shattered, while the others all showed 1 dot. Unwilling to accept defeat, the woman brought in the gambling king to compete against the god of gamblers. As both men took their seats, the dealer separated the cards for each side to have them inspected. During the inspection, the god of gamblers' assistant discovered that all the high cards had been marked, but he deliberately told the god of gamblers that everything was normal. Once the game began, the gambling king could easily rid the god of gamblers' whole cards. No matter how much the god of gamblers bet, the gambling king would immediately match it. This made the god of gamblers start to sense something was wrong, and he lost the first round. However, when the gambling king looked toward a nearby attendant, the god of gamblers seized the moment to cover his whole cards. Now the gambling king was stumped. The god of gamblers proposed settling everything with one final hand. He pulled out a check worth $30 million. For the sake of his reputation, the gambling king had no choice but to match the bet. At this point, the god of gamblers' assistant asked him to confirm his whole cards, a move that allowed the gambling king to see them successfully. As the god of gamblers continued betting, the gambling king instantly felt confident. But when the god of gamblers revealed his whole cards, everyone present was stunned. The gambling king suspected his X-ray glasses had malfunctioned. The god of gamblers then told him those glasses were outdated. His own contact lenses were the latest technology. More importantly, he had drawn the dots on his whole cards himself. The god of gamblers explained that without his assistant's help, he never could have beaten the gambling king. Only then did the gambling king realize he'd been tricked. The god of gamblers had discovered his assistant's betrayal long ago. He suddenly handed the assistant a gun. When the assistant tried to explain, the gambling king shot him. But when the assistant pointed the gun at the god of gamblers, he discovered it was just a toy. Just then, police burst through the door. The gambling king claimed they were in international waters and that his shooting was purely self-defense. The god of gamblers told him to pull back the curtains and look outside. Only then did they realize they had never left port. The gambling king had been completely defeated by the god of gamblers. From that day forward, the god of gamblers retired from all competitions, as this style of gambling had brought him the punishment he deserved.